All right, so guys, welcome back to another episode of Crushin Tins with Klutz and Das, and we've got our special guest today, Wade Curtis from Ballistic Brewing. How you going, mate?
Yeah, good, thanks. Thanks for having me on.
That's all right. Thanks for coming on. Never actually met you before, so very thankful that you're happy to have a chat with us. We're pretty excited
Yeah,
for this one.
absolutely. I've been following the page for a while, so I kind of know the vibe. It's all good.
Yeah, good. Hopefully it's a good
I've
vibe.
been seeing you posting around.
Yeah.
Oh, it's good stuff. So first and foremost, mate, just for all the listeners out there and for ourselves as well, just give us a bit of your background, like who you are, where you've worked, that sort of stuff. Obviously you're at Ballistic now, but what's the journey to get there been like?
Yeah, so I've been brewing or home brewing since about 2005, quite a while. Had launched a craft beer brand, which was Four Hearts Brewing in 2010. Just launched that locally around Ipswich. I actually live out past Ipswich in the scenic rim. And yeah, got into brewing through after some overseas travel. And then, started as a hobby, turned into an obsession. Started contract brewing or gypsy brewing. And then, then opened a brew pub in Ipswich in 2015, I think it was. So, did that for a few years, went back to corporate life after selling my share of that, and then, ended up getting made redundant and on the hunt for a job. And then I started consulting to a few different craft breweries around Brisbane, and then finally ended up at Ballistic Christmas 2018, I think it was. And so been at Ballistic for over a year now, which has been awesome.
That's awesome. What's
so sick.
Sorry, Josh. I was going to say, what's the craft beer scene like in Ipswich?
Look, there was always one or two pubs that had a couple of taps. There was a bar. Well, there's Tap, which has got 71 taps, which is pretty huge. I think it's got the most taps in the Southern Hemisphere.
Holy smokes.
About half of them are Bow Craft or cider or ginger beer or spritz and stuff. But they do have a pretty decent range, and they've got a decent bottle shop. And the guys that own that used to own the Umanto Tavern, and that was the first place that I got put on tap there. They had an Ale House 24, I think it was called, which had 24 taps. So we're talking like 24 taps in Ipswich in 2010, which was...
That's pretty awesome.
Probably a little bit ahead of its time, but they supported me really well and got the beers out there. And then after I got a bit of traction, then I moved into Brisbane, but predominantly started off local across about 3 or 4 different bars. And so then when I opened my own brewery, they kind of saw me as a bit of a competitor, so they didn't put too much that. Anyway.
Didn't get you on anymore.
That's it. We're still friends.
Classic. No, that's the main thing, man. But mate, if we go way back, what sort of got you into you said you started off at, or had you always had aspirations to sort of get into the beer industry?
I never really had aspirations at the start. I was a career marketer and I worked for Smith's Snack Foods and McDonald's and a few different other companies. And I just went traveling in 2001, hung around Sydney for the Olympics and then went traveling and went to the UK, went all around Europe and did a ski season in Canada. And when I got back, I'd tried all these different beers from around the world. And I don't even think in Queensland Dan Murphy's even existed. Or if it did, they only had like 2 stores. And so I'd go and try and buy a carton of Hoegaarden or something. And it was $130 in 2002. And, you know, I had traveled halfway around the world and it was just tasted a bit crap. So that's how I actually got into home brewing, and I just went mental from
That's
there.
pretty cool. So you wanted to almost taste those beers from overseas, but you couldn't really get them, so you just brewed them yourself.
Yeah, that's right. And look, you know, like every home brewing story, it starts off with a lot of average beer, and then slowly kind of gets better and better. And, you know, you eventually, there was a whole heap of online forums and stuff. So I just used to hang around those all night and work out what beers I wanted to brew and where to get ingredients. And craft brewer at Capella Bar was the main home brew kind of supplier for people that were serious about home brewing. So they had a pretty good mail order, and I spent a lot of money at that place.
It's paid off now, though.
Yeah, definitely. What was the first beer you remember making, or like the first one that you thought was like, this is a bang on beer for me?
Oh, look, I think it was probably the best one first up was a stout, because like pretty much anyone can brew a stout. There's so many places for bad flavors to hide and all that. Like, don't get me wrong, there's some really good stouts, but then there's a few like you can home brew a stout and there's lots of places to hide. So stouts, and I was always trying to do the Hogarden clone, which has got a fair bit of freedom in there too, using wheat beer yeast. You can have some funky esters, chopping up, like grinding coriander and putting in orange peel and that sort of stuff to try and get those flavors. So they were sort of my two go-to beers for quite a while, and they were the ones I was trying to perfect. And then I tried to get into lagers, and I was putting like 4-litre ice cream tubs of ice on top of a fermenter in September in my garage with towels over it. I used to do my own Oktoberfest where I'd have like a wheat beer, a couple of lagers, and a dark lager or a dunkel or something like that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, not brewers, you have so many different sorts of favourite beers, I guess. And some work and some don't, and some are easy to brew and some are hard to brew.
Just on that, probably sidetracking a little bit. I don't know if you can see it because of my background, but I'm currently enjoying the Mexican hot chocolate stout.
Nice.
I actually bought a couple of weeks ago. It's been sitting in my fridge, and I'm a bit like, it just sounds weird, but it is unreal. It's probably one of the weirdest beers I've ever had. I don't know how to explain it. Like, it actually is spicy, but it's delicious.
Yeah, but it actually works. Like, up until I tried this beer, to be perfectly honest with you, I was never a fan of chili in beers. I've always had like horrible experiences. It's almost like a joke beer that like you keep in the fridge for the mate that you don't like, and then and then watch him like, run out the door or something. So yeah, this beer nails it. Like it's just really well balanced, and the spice is there. It's a little bit like a good ginger beer. It kind of is there in the back throat, and then it dissipates, and then you want to have another sip. Whereas a lot of chili beers, except for probably the only other chili beer that I'd recommend you try if you like that, is Garage Project. It's DFA, I think.
Yeah.
That's like a lemon lime chili kind of Thai inspired beer. There's probably one of the other better uses of chili, but yeah, as a rule, chili and beer is not like my thing.
Yeah,
but it works. I had one of these on Sunday night, so Easter Sunday night.
Yeah.
Was my Easter nightcap, and it just hit the spot.
Yeah, I didn't think I was going to enjoy it all, just like the chili, but it's actually so good.
Yeah.
Delicious.
Yeah, perfect. Well, so you mentioned that you started another brewery before all this, Four Hearts. So what sort of got you from the home brewing into Four Hearts?
I guess being a marketer, being a marketer and a home brewer combined, I guess I've always had this little bit of entrepreneurial thing ticking in the background. And it's really cool working for big companies with budgets, but ultimately, like, you want to try and see if you can do it yourself. And there was just no one in Brisbane doing it. I mean, when I started Four Hearts Gypsy Brewing, there was Newstead, Green Beacon had just opened. Like, we're talking like not a lot of competition. Bacchus was going, but look, I don't think there was that many more around the place. There was Sunny Coast. There was a brewery up there, Sunshine Coast Brewery. But it was all very much in its infancy, and I just could see this huge opportunity for people that wanted to get into beer with flavour. And it had already kicked off in Melbourne, and I was going to Melbourne a bit and living in Sydney as well, sort of sparked that kind of interest. So, yeah, I just could see a bit of a gap in the market, and I could see there were more people like me that wanted to have a better beer experience. So that's kind of what drove me to get into it. But then it took me sort of 5 years even to get there. And then to open my own place was another sort of 5 years on top of that. So it was a slow burn.
It's paid off though, definitely.
I had 3 kids.
Yeah,
along the way.
definitely. But all right, busy man, very busy man, man.
Absolutely.
Yeah, that's crazy. So yeah, obviously had that for a couple of years. Is Four Hearts still going at the moment, or?
Yeah, it's still going. Still going. Well, it was still going really strong. I think they're only, they're like everybody now. They're doing takeaway and selling tins. So yeah, but no, it's going really well, and it was almost like it was an awesome experience because it kind of kicked off the hospitality industry in Ipswich again, and people saw that you could open a nice venue and have good products and quality products and attract a lot of locals, which was really good.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's what you want at the end of the day. So you're sort of a pioneer in a way for the.
I guess so. Yeah. Well, I mean, it was like one of those things where a lot of people told me it would never work.
That sort of stuff, which is pretty cool.
Yeah. Well, when people tell you stuff doesn't work, then it just kind of drives you to make it work.
Work harder and make it work. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. That must be so much more satisfying knowing that. Yeah, well, these people are wrong, and you've created this mad product there and got the beers out. So
they're probably all drinking.
Yeah, and we won gold medals at the Australian International Beer Awards. Won silvers, bronze, and so we were putting out some really good quality beer as well, which was a big focus to try and get that quality, and
Yeah, that's perfect. It's what you want at the end of the day. Is come with the accolades. It's just the cherry on the top, I suppose.
That's
awesome.
It.
So we've gone from Four Hearts. So we've gone from Four Hearts to Ballistic now. You've been there since Christmas 2018. So bit of a gap in between. But did you see yourself getting back into the beer industry?
Look, I'd actually decided I wasn't going to.
Was it sort of just everything fell into place, or?
Yeah, I decided I wasn't going to get back into it, and I decided I was just going to be like, do the corporate thing, enjoy craft beer on the side, not get back into the industry. And then I was literally, I found out I had a heart condition, and then 2 weeks before I was supposed to have an operation, I got made redundant. So then I had like the rest of the year off from like October through to sort of December off. And I was just kicking around. Like no one hires anyone in the corporate world in December. So then I thought, what am I going to do? I know craft beer and I was passionate about it. And all my plans kind of got flipped around. So I was like, bugger it. I'm going to try and do some consulting. But unfortunately, lots of small companies in craft beer, they don't actually have the money to pay consultants. So that didn't last for too long. There was a few little gigs there, but just enough to kind of, pay for the petrol money and the beer money. Finding Ballistic was a bit of a lifeline, really. But they were at that point where they were looking to expand, and I just had a lot of experience opening a brew pub or with a big chunk of a hospitality business. So that was on the cards for Ballistic. So I came on board with the view to help them manage that, help them with their marketing, and then open a new venue, which we did in October last year.
That's the Springfield one, Springfield venue.
Yeah, that's right. That was at Springfield. So
that's awesome.
Yeah, that's so good. So you guys got Springfield or Springwood?
Springfield.
Yeah, Springfield. I always get the two mixed up. So you got Springfield. Yeah, exactly. There we go. It's the easiest way to remember.
We hate Shelbyville.
Don't we all? So we got Springfield. You guys have West End as well. So things are looking pretty good for Ballistic. I remember where I work at Miss K's, we had a couple of your beers for a while. But my personal favourite's the Dirty Word Lager. That's the first one I ever had from your beers.
Yeah.
So I'm a big fan of that because I like my lagers. But it's good to see. Ballistic is going well. So suppose from that, what's what's sort of been your favourite beers you've had to make at Ballistic or that sort of thing at the moment?
Well, I don't do any brewing at Ballistic. I chat to the guys about recipes, but I don't really get my hands dirty, which is good fun. But the best beer I was kind of involved in, which was just me turning up and going out to lunch, was
doing the hard work, the most important work.
Yeah. We brewed a beer with the lead singer of Millencolin. I can't even remember his name now. But it was a raspberry. What the heck was it? It was a raspberry. There's a lot of raspberries in it. Sour Nipa.
Sounds delicious.
And it was an awesome beer. And he's actually got a brewing company in Sweden, I think, called Wizard Brewing. So he's a legit brewer. He's just not like he's not just like a band member.
A famous dude.
Decided he wants to get free beer. He actually brews himself. So that's probably the most interesting and fun and kind of quirky beer I've been involved in at Ballistic. And like I said, I just turned up and chatted to him, took some photos for social media, and then went out to lunch. So
living the dream.
That's so good.
That's what collaborations are all about. Don't let any there's always like either like a assistant brewer or someone that does all the work while the two head brewers sit around and have beers and eat lunch.
We wanted to touch quickly as well on like the sours.
Well, I suppose that's...
Sorry, Josh. I think we got a bit of a lag, so I keep cutting it over the top of you.
Yeah, sorry, I'm lagging a little bit. No, it's all right. You go, mate.
I was just going to say we wanted to touch on
I'm the one that lives in the country with the dodgy internet.
Yeah, I know. And Josh, where's your place, mate?
Oh, mate, I'm in the heart of the city, so...
With everyone else.
What's going
yeah,
on.
Exactly right.
Everyone's at home, so buddy Dad's
weird.
back from working out in the mine, so he's got everything connected up. So I'm just shooting him a message now just to tell him to stop working so hard.
And off Netflix.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
We hope it's Netflix, not something else. No, we wanted to touch quickly on the sours that you guys produce, because something that like sort of the main thing in our group is many of us hadn't even tried a craft beer before, like sort of the back end of last year, and sours is something we've all discovered that we've loved. And you guys seem to pump out sours left, right, and center. Like I know I had the Christmas one you guys did. I had an apricot one. I've had another raspberry sour. Like, is it something that you're constantly doing, or?
Yeah, so all those ones are part of like what we call the Twang series.
Yeah.
So the Twang sours, they just started off as being I think it was a name for like one of the first ones they did, and then I think it was Lockie, the head brewer, came up with the idea that we were just going to keep that name Twang. We even keep the same barcode and everything, and we just changed. It's the same alcohol, and then we just keep changing the fruit. So you always, every sort of, I don't know, anywhere between 2 and sort of 3 or so months, we're changing the fruit. So we've just, at the moment, we've got apricot. We've just done pine lime, white peach. We've got another one in the tank at the moment, which we're working on. So like the whole idea is that it just becomes like a go-to sour.
Yeah.
So
right.
if you like sours, all right, every couple of months a new one comes out. There's quite a few BWSs and things, and so it's easy for them. You don't have to keep going back and rearranging it. They just come back to us and say, right, we're going to order the next one. And if it changes over to a different fruit flavor, it just changes over. And in fact, they like it because they just have to do a lot of ranging and they can get it. So
yeah, beautiful.
Yeah, and customers like that too. Like everybody wants to try different things. So the
especially
only
if you
problem
like
is,
it, and they're good beers. Like, you know what I mean? Same beer, as you said, different fruits. It keeps it exciting.
The white peach one's my personal favorite. I love that one.
Yeah, I really like the mulberry, and we did actually we did a couple of ones for our birthday, which was pina colada, sangria, and something else. And they only really went watermelon mojito. We're doing all like different versions of it. So keep an eye out because we're gonna start getting pretty funky with it. Just trying to do things because it's so hard as a brewer to kind of keep coming out with new ideas. Like there's not only that many fruits in the world. Yeah, sure. So, we've got to keep trying to come up. We just did another one which is a sour, but like with a little bit of a salty twist, which is a watermelon gosa. And
Yeah, is that the
we made that
watermelon
with,
or whatever?
yeah, watermelon. So
Yeah.
that's not part of the Twang series, but similar type of beer as well.
Yeah,
So
I haven't tried that one yet, but
we're getting into them, and we're just going to keep that going until as long as people are interested. And I think sours are really that kind of potentially like that bridging beer for people that say they don't like beer. Give them a sour and they're like, oh, is that a cider, or it's got fruit in it? What is it? And it's really breaking down a lot of barriers around what people think beer actually is. So
it really is. We've had a number of our friends, even Darcy's girlfriend, for example, she doesn't like beer at all. We gave her a sour and absolutely loved it. It's the beer to drink if you don't like beer. But as we were talking about it the other night, like for those, for lack of a better word, beer nerds out there, they also really enjoy their sours just because it's something so different. But I think, like sours it's the perfect way to describe it, that bridging sort of beer for people. So,
they're perfect for the climate
personally,
here
like,
as well.
I absolutely love them. Oh, definitely. We had a mate of ours actually hit us up and say, I best enjoy my sours in the summer. How am I going to do this in winter? Well, it's a good point. Go out, get a bit hot, and just try and recreate that heat. So you can keep enjoying them the same way. But
we're doing some cocktails with them as well. So there's we did a Aperol Spritz kind of version using Twang. We've done some Twang mojitos. We did a margarita, I think, with the watermelon gosa. So like you can actually pimp them up a little bit.
Maybe we should have a cocktail course, Josh.
Yeah, do a cocktail stream with ballistic cocktail beers. That'd be perfect. That'd be so much fun. Just going back a little bit again, you mentioned that you've done some, collaborations and stuff like that. When I was having a look around, I saw when you were with Four Hearts, you did a collaboration with Black Ops, and they mentioned in one of their blogs, because we've been having a look through a fair bit of Black Ops stuff, that they credit you for allowing them, when they were Gypsy Brewers, to come in and brew at Four Hearts. So how important is that collaboration in the industry? And, how important is that collaboration, I suppose, with other brewers?
Oh, look, I think it's huge. I think, Bacchus kind of gave me my start and brewed for me. And so when other people were coming through and were talking about brewing, I was like, yeah, you can come and Gypsy brew. Once I got my head around my system and I, knew how it worked and I can control it properly. I mean, you don't want to be Gypsy brewing or contract brewing for someone if you don't know what you're doing. So you want to make sure you get
definitely
everything sort of stitched up. But yeah, I think to be honest with you, I don't see as much of it anymore. I think the market's getting quite competitive, and there's a little bit of it, but not as much. And I think also people, I don't know why, but it seems like people, when they open a brewery now, seem to be able to find the money to get the kit and all that sort of stuff. Whereas there was a while there where everyone was just scraping money together and barely affording to do anything. And so Gypsy Brewing was a way to get your brand out there and test the market. And if you were trying to get investors, you could prove
almost like a proof of concept
here for a start, and then you could sell it as well. So, but I mean, I wouldn't have got anywhere. I mean, we ended up collaborating with Black Hops, Currumbin, Your Mates, Brutal Brewing, a whole heap of different bars and stuff we did collabs with. I think they were the main ones. And a few other home brewers and all that sort of stuff.
Recently, you did the raspberry sour and the sweet stout, which you mixed together as well, and that was a bit of a collab, wasn't it, with Brewski? And I'm trying to think who else it was. I can't think.
Yeah, it was Brewski and Carwin Sellers.
Yeah.
So the whole idea was that you're supposed to work out what your perfect blend is.
Yeah.
I think was 70% stout and 30% sour was my perfect blend.
We had a bit of a play around with it too.
Yeah, I mean, that beer's still kicking around a bit. there's a few cartons left, I think, at each of the venues. But yeah, it's a really cool, interesting concept.
Yeah, it was awesome. I remember
Works.
I got it and I rang Josh. I was like, we've got to feature this or something because it's just so cool. Like it's literally the last thing you expect it to taste. Like when you pour it in, you're like, there's no way this is going to taste any good. And it actually is awesome.
Yeah,
Exactly,
it's almost like you need 2 4-packs because you spend the first couple of cans dialing in the right mix.
Yeah,
And
exactly.
then once
right.
you find your right mix, you're like, oh shit, I've got none left. So, yeah, and you've had 8 beers. But that's what blending's all about, you know.
Yeah, exactly right.
Yeah, exactly.
And just as well, taking a step back, just for people out there, Gypsy Brewing is where brewers would come to you in your sort of set up location and use your equipment to brew a beer. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's right. I mean, there was like some brewers wanted to brew all of it themselves. Other brewers would just give us the recipe and say for us to brew it. So it just sort of depended. But I mean, yeah, some might start off as giving you the recipe and then over time learn a bit more and get to the point where, you know,
They sort of take over.
Assistants.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, I think that's when we were chatting to Charlie from Helios, he said that they had part of the Ipswich Gypsy Brewers Club.
I think they were actually Ipswich.
Oh, the Ipswich Brewers Union, I think.
Yeah, that's the one. Yeah, and he said his biggest struggle was actually, you know, they gave him the recipe and they wanted to come in and do it and they were helping him do it. But his biggest struggle was being a brewer, stepping back and not tweaking the recipe because he said, you know, it's a good recipe, but as a brewer, you've still got that mindset where you want to make that perfect sort of beer or you want to have it to your taste. And I think he said that was his biggest struggle with Gypsy Brewing was, you know, not taking over the whole operation and taking away from that experience for the brewers. So I feel as though that would be a pretty hard thing if hypothetically I think I ever got down that track. I would I'm a bit of a control freak sometimes, so I'd definitely struggle stepping back. And
well, home brewers also tend to overcomplicate things. Like you're making your recipe heaps more complicated than what it probably needs to be. And so when you're a professional brewer, you want stuff to be cost effective and simple and all that sort of stuff. So that was the biggest challenge I had going from being a home brewer to a commercial brewer was just dialing everything in and changing your mindset around you don't want to have 20 different grains in a beer because you've got to open a sack of every single one of them. And some of those grains you might never use again or, you know, very rarely. So, it changes your outlook on things, whereas it's easy to just muck around a lot when you're a home brewer.
Yeah, perfect. It sounds, homebrew sounds quite fun, that's for sure.
Yeah.
All right, well, moving on a bit, obviously at the moment is a pretty shit time for the industry. It's put a dampener on a whole bunch of different things. So what are some of the things that you guys have done? I believe you might have been one of the first people to start up a drive-through sort of system for people to come through, if I'm correct there.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've pretty much tried everything, and I call it the craft brewers pivoting playbook. I think there's a couple of things we haven't done, but yeah, we have just been in that. Like we just wanted to get on the front foot. So we have, 3 venues. So we temporarily shut West End. And then we're focusing on Springfield. So Springfield, we're just running like a takeaway store and a bottle shop. And Salisbury, we've got the drive-through bottle shop going on, which we just thought, one, it's like a little bit of fun and it's kind of quirky because a lot of people thought when we had a drive-through, you just pull up and like get out. But we made it so you could like just literally
drive up to the bar. Yeah, that video.
So what we shot on that
so
video
funny.
you saw on the Facebook is like that's legit. That's really what you could actually do.
That's actually so funny.
Yeah, so it was just good. I mean, we're just lucky that the warehouse is how it is. And then we've got involved with a couple of distillers making wash for sanitizer. We've stood up a online ordering system so people can order ahead. Our website sales, we've got that all activated. We brewed a special beer called Brew Unity, which we've been able to, get out at a competitive price and kind of help people there's a lot of people out there that aren't flush for cash at the moment, and even if you do have a job, you're kind of probably a little bit nervous about what's happening in the future. So, yeah, we're just trying to do, and we're still launching new beers and brewing heaps of beers and trying to get our beer into more accounts and all that sort of stuff. It's just that now you don't have the bars to go to, so we're pretty much not producing any kegs at the moment either. It's all just going into cans.
Yeah, because no one can really sell from kegs at the moment, can they? Like I know a few places are doing like their own can fills and stuff, but
yeah. So we're doing growler fills out of the bars, but yeah, that's sort of, there's a few issues with that. So we're just looking at trying to get some disposable PET bottles so we can keep filling growlers for people.
Yeah. Yeah, we went to that
for
place,
sure.
Josh, in Albany Creek. What was it called? Witchcraft. They were doing like, it was almost like a milk bottle, liter milk bottle.
At Albany Creek. Yeah.
Yeah, there's a few places doing the milk bottles, which is good if you want to drink it that night.
Yeah.
Not that carbonation and oxygen pickup and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah, I accidentally drank both of my liters in one night.
So yeah, you guys you've had the drive-through where you could do, so as we said, like you guys are one of the first people to sort of start doing all this sort of things. Like, how soon after all this sort of stuff did you actually like go into this and then we need to get onto the front foot? Was it challenging to get into that, or did you sort of be like, this is what we're going to have to do?
Yeah, like it was just one of those things that we just did because we had to do it, and it's about survival and about keeping the cash flow going. So that was the main motivator. And, you know, there were certain things that we would have got a videographer to do, but we just shot it ourselves and stitched it together. And we knew that everyone would be kind of understanding about that they weren't expecting, you know, a perfectly produced piece of communication in the current environment. And, you know, even we've just done another thing that we'll launch soon, which is just like, instead of filming it, we just got Lockie to talk to through Zoom, and we recorded that. So, I mean, you know, it allows you, everyone knows that, you know, you're going to have to do those sorts of things. So,
I think everyone's doing it as well.
A really good team, and we're just trying to be flexible and keep it going and keep it interesting for our community. Like, we really want to be there for our community, and the community support has been insane. The amount of people coming in saying, like, we just want to come in and buy your beer and have a burger, or, you know, buy some merch at Salisbury. They just want to support us because they have enjoyed what we've been doing for the last few years, and they don't want us to go anywhere, and we want to be there to support our customers as well and the communities that we operate in. So, yeah, the takeaway food thing at Springfield's really growing, and takeaway beer is like going really well. And I think hopefully more people will get into. Well, I think more people are going to get into growlers because they've got, you know, some have got 10 now. So buy new ones. But also, I just don't think people think when you go to a restaurant or a brew pub that you can buy takeaway cans to go home. And we really push it hard. And our Springfield Pilsner sells really well in cans. But now I think more people will want to purchase takeaways after they have a visit. So hopefully that's some of the good stuff to come from it. But you know, the other thing is we don't know how long we're going to be operating like this. So we want to make sure we've got to be ready to operate till, you know, maybe September or whatever. So, you know, the new things that we're doing need to be sustainable, which is why we just want to give as many things a crack as what we can. Some of it's going to stick, some of it won't, but ultimately, you know, that's business. You know, you've got to have a go. And I think a few people have said, like, you know, before this all happened, you'd just take forever to launch a new product, or you'd analyze the crap out of everything. Whereas now we're like, well, we're going to just launch it this week and see what happens. And no one's got a lot of expectations about it being, you know, perfect or anything. So the consumers are a lot more understanding. And I mean, at the end of the day, they're getting good beer. So they really, really understand.
Yeah. Especially when you're doing it at prices like the Brew Unity. I'm sure they're loving that very much.
Yeah, that's right. I mean, some of the beer we moved because we just had so much of it. We had, a couple of tanks of our pale ale that was supposed to go into kegs that we had to can. But Brew Unity was one that we really put like a lot of thought into about how do we do this beer, and how do we give people good beer at a good price.
Yeah, that's awesome. I was actually going to ask, I know you just covered it then and spoke about how everyone's been supporting you, but has it just been overwhelming, the support you've seen? Like, I know, as we said before, we went to Witchcraft and it was like a Thursday or a Friday or something. It wasn't even the weekend, and they opened at 2:00. And we got there at 2, and there's a line of people like around the corner waiting to get their little milk cartons filled. So
yeah, the half price growler fills has been huge. I mean, people want to support local. You just need to give them an excuse, I think. And like our food offering at Springfield, nearly half of the people that bought off us last week were repeat customers as well. So people that are coming are loving it and they're loyal. And, that's just, I think, one of the benefits of operating a little bit more out in the suburbs is that people appreciate that you could maybe open in any suburb and there's not a lot of other decent options. So they really want to support, and even merch, like people buying shirts and stubby coolers, and we've got so many growlers in people's houses now. So it's good.
It's awesome.
Brands getting out there, and people have been awesome.
Hopefully it translates well sort of post pandemic, like people just continue to love and support. And as you said, people are almost being more accustomed to takeaway tins and stuff like that. So it could work out all right in the end.
Yeah, I think it will, and I hope it does, because we've had a lot of people out at Springfield that have said, "Oh, we've been meaning to get here, but you've always been so busy, and now this has happened, so we're happy to come out and support you." So some people's first visit out to us has been, us
because there's no one else
doing
there.
Takeaway booze and bloody $10 cheeseburgers, but they'll be blown away when they come and experience the full thing.
For sure, the full experience.
Fully.
Yeah, it's good that you do have those sort of positives. I mean, I know personally from where I work, we've had a massive support from our local community. And it's interesting you mentioned about the suburbs as well. Like, it seems as though suburban breweries in general or suburban venues are starting to become a real thing in Brisbane. And the support that people get for them is just ridiculous. Like, there's a bar down the road from us, The Woods, and that place is packed 7 days a week, every night. Like, it's just full. Like, it's, as you said, like those suburbs, people want to get around their local suburbs. So it's pretty cool that, you've got new customers, but also those repeat customers coming in for sure.
Yeah.
That's awesome. So I think as well, part of our thing that we had, wondering all time, what are your top 5 favorite beers? Just to sort of put you on the spot there.
Well, I mean, I definitely think there's a perfect beer for a perfect time. And you took out a few of my own beers, but I have I didn't know if you meant I wasn't allowed to say ballistic beers or if I'm allowed to say beers that I may have been involved with in the past. So I kind of cheated a little bit.
That's all right.
But I had on the top, the number one beer for me is Snyder Weiss Adventinus, which is like an imperial wheat beer. I think it's like 12 or 13%.
Oh,
and it's like a liqueur wheat beer kind of crazy thing. You get it in a big, tall 500ml bottle. It's got a purple label on it. And it was one of those beers that I first had. I'm a big fan of German beers, and it's like the granddaddy of German beers. They do another one. Actually, maybe it's only 9%. And they do another one called an Eisbock, which I think is the 13% version, which is just a bit too crazy. It's like syrup, alcoholic syrup. So yeah, that just like totally flips. So if you take like, okay, pre 2000s drinking Aussie lager to then going overseas and trying these, crazy beers in Belgium or Germany or something like that. It's just like you can't get two things that are further apart.
Yeah.
So yeah, that was on the top of my list as one of my like all time. I think you can maybe buy it from the German club in Brisbane if you're lucky. Otherwise, I'm not too sure. I haven't seen a lot of it, so it probably comes in like limited shipments.
We might have to go to Germany,
yeah,
Josh.
Yeah, Germany. You got to go to Germany, and you've got to go to
excuse.
Oktoberfest.
Yeah, I've heard great things about Oktoberfest.
Oktoberfest is definitely on the bucket list. It just seems like absolute mayhem.
Yeah, and then the next beer I had on there is the Helios Black IPA. I think it's called Medusa.
Medusa. Nice.
Yeah, it's like one of the best black IPAs I've had. And black IPAs shouldn't be roasted malt, and like it shouldn't taste like someone added hops to a stout. You should be able to close your eyes and think you're drinking an IPA, but when you look in the glass, it's black. That's my personal opinion. So that one's right up there for me. The other one, and I got a bit of a soft spot for this beer because it had nothing to do with the recipe or anything, but it was brewed at Four Hearts. And I love the style, is the Black Hops Beach House, which they don't make as a regular beer anymore, but it's a Saison style. And I used to play around with Saisons in my shed because you can basically brew them at about 30-something degrees and they don't produce any off flavors. The yeast is really tolerant to that sort of stuff. So I had Black Hops Beach House on my list. Now, this is where it gets a little bit dodgy because I've included my favourite beer that I have brewed but don't brew anymore, which is the Four Hearts Red IPA. I'm a huge fan of red IPAs. Once again, I love a nice clean malt bill with the red colour and the hops like shining through. I don't like too many crystal malts. And so we played around with this beer. It's had many iterations, and I don't think it's been changed since I left. But you get that beer fresh, and it's got some awesome mosaic hops, and some Citra, I think, or Simcoe as well. And then you just get like this nice maltiness about it as well. So I love a red IPA as well. I hunt down red IPAs, and unfortunately, not a lot of people do them. And the ones that you do find sometimes are a little bit tired and a little bit too malty. And it's like an American red ale rather than like a red IPA. And then, possibly my all-time favourite beer. Once again, I don't think I had much to do with the recipe on this beer.
You can claim it if you did. You can claim it if you did.
It was brewed at Four Hearts as well, which is Currumbin Valley Brewing breakfast juice. I did have a lot to do with the decal, which was a rip-off of a Golden Circle juice logo.
That's iconic.
But the brekkie juice is just epic. I think it's like 8%. I think the guys are brewing it again, or they might have even brewed it again. And I think I missed out on getting a keg or a try of it. But I took that beer camping once, and I was about 5 meters away from the esky, and someone opened the growler, and I just sniffed around, and I could smell the hops from about 5 meters away as soon as they opened it. Yeah. And it's got some insane amount of hops in 1,000 liters, like 17 kilos or something stupid.
Holy shit.
So yeah, not an accountant's beer, but just super, super hoppy, but not in a real bitter and astringent way. And it was one of those first beers that were played around with, and it must have been in about 2016, 17, where the word was just coming out on the New England IPAs, and it was supposed to be the New England IPA, but it kind of cleared up a bit too much. So we didn't kind of tell too many people what it was, but it had the same principles of the hops going in 3 days into the fermentation to get what they call biotransformation, which is a whole bunch of different flavors, and where you get that real juicy hop character without a lot of the bitterness. So
yeah,
that's my 5.
I definitely want to try that.
I think check out their website, because obviously now that's probably the only way they're releasing beers, maybe a few limited bottle shops and stuff. But yeah, it's definitely worth a try.
It's funny. Someone actually, I put up a thing on Instagram last night saying, which breweries do you want to see us chat to? And someone actually said Currumbin, and they responded saying, yeah, we're keen. So hopefully we can have a chat to them as well, and then we can find out.
Yeah, so I've not been up to their brewery, but if I do, I won't be driving. I'll be camping the night. So
Good plan.
Yeah,
take your
definitely.
swag.
The fact that a breakfast juice is an 8% beer, that's just a great start to the day. Like that's I'm just
Yeah,
imagining
you're not
waking up
getting
and
much of
cracking
your
some
to-do
breakfast.
list finished off if you start on that.
No, definitely not. But there's nothing wrong with that at all. So we got your 5 favourite beers there. Now you also said about a time and place. So what's probably your favourite place to have a beer? Like either what's just your favourite place? Like a knockoff beer or just favourite place you've ever had a beer, anything like that?
I think generally I've got probably one broad favourite place is any time you're on holidays, camping or caravanning. I've not had too many bad beers when I'm on holidays at all. And then the other one would be just in my backyard. So over Easter we had I've got a vertical smoker. I threw in some chicken wings and we all sat around that in the backyard, around a veggie patch out the back of our shed, and just chilled out. And it doesn't really even matter what the beer is, to be honest with you, for those sorts of beers. So yeah, I think those places. And I mean, yeah, anyway, I've probably got about 50 favourite places, to be honest with you.
Anywhere where the beer's cold, I think, is a good place to be.
And the other place is at a brewery where the beer is made, I think.
Yeah, where it's fresh.
3.
Yeah.
Nah, that's awesome. Now, probably the last question. If there was one brewery or person that you could ever do a collab beer with, who would it be and what sort of beer would you have a crack at?
I think if I had a choice of anyone in the world, it would probably be Dogfish Head in the US.
Okay.
I've got no idea what the beer would be, though. It'd have to be something hoppy, either something hoppy or something sour. So maybe a hoppy sour, which I don't actually really like that much. So I don't know. But yeah, I read that if you want to start a brewery and you want to read like a business book about it, get the Dogfish Head guys book about what's it called, Brewing Up a Business. So yeah, have a read of that. And like he was doing a lot of the stuff that breweries are doing now, like barrels and all that sort of stuff way before it was cool. And they've got a sour over there now, which is like their biggest selling beer. And, it's just, they've done a lot of really cool stuff. And I was actually supposed to go to San Antonio in 5 days for the craft brewers conference. But obviously that's cancelled. And I wasn't going to get to go to Dogfish Head, but we're going to go and check out a lot of cool places over there. So, yeah, maybe next year.
As I said, maybe next year.
Yeah, hopefully next year. I got the chance.
Yeah.
I went to the States a few years ago. Got the chance to go to a couple of breweries over there, which was pretty sick. Harpoon Brewery, Boston had a really mad beer scene. So I'd love to get to America to try out their craft beer scene. It just looks insane because at that time I was still just smacking back golds and northerns. But there's nothing wrong with that.
No, you got to start somewhere.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah,
right.
definitely. Well, at the moment, Wade, what can people do to help you guys out or find you guys at the moment? Give yourself a bit of a plug.
Oh, look, I think the main thing really is just to follow us on social media. And if you can, buy our beer from wherever you can buy it, whether that's from a bottle shop, from our breweries, or online. I mean, that's the real thing. But then I think, that's the same for every brewery. Like I think, we're a really like pretty close bunch of people in Brisbane. So it's like just support any brewery that you can really, like, and if that's Ballistic, that's awesome. If not, if you've got another local brewery, support them. Because if everybody has that mindset of supporting their local, then it'll be a lot healthier on the way out, and we'll all hopefully have some money back left in our bank accounts on the way out, to rebuild and to do everything that we need to do. So, yeah, I mean, go to a local bottle shop, independent if you've got one, local, and support them as well. But yeah, online, or if you can buy it direct from the brewery and their breweries if they're open. Yeah, just enjoy it and spend what you can afford. But you know, the support. I think you won't go into a brewery where you won't get someone thanking you for your support. So it makes you feel good as well. So there's an extra benefit.
Yeah.
The beer is also very fucking good.
Yeah, well that helps, right?
Yeah,
I've definitely had my fair
exactly.
share of ballistics, and I have never been disappointed. So
Can second
Yeah.
that as well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
It's one of the things we're famous for, I think, is we get so many people saying, "Oh, I've never had a bad ballistic beer," and I don't think I have. So yeah,
must
That's
be
a
doing
good
something
kind of
right.
fan. Yeah, exactly. Awesome. Well, Wade, thanks so much for jumping on with us and chatting all things about yourself and about ballistics. So, guys, get out there, do what Wade's told you. Let's get out to all our local breweries and local independents and support them during this time with whatever you can. So, massive thanks again, mate. This has been Crushing Tins with Bloody Brewing Beers. We'll catch you guys next time. Thank you. Give them heaps.
thanks guys. Thanks for having me.
Thanks, Wade. Thanks for jumping on, mate.
All
No
you
worries.
guys.
Enjoy.